This is our round 2 recap of the Supadrift Series that happened about a week and a bit ago in Polokwane. So again, coming from Cape Town, it's a bit of a distance for us, 3,600 there and back, but we made the trip up. Everything went well on the trip. So thank you to DTM Heidelberg. They have assisted us with the tow vehicle for the past 2 events, so thank you very much for their assistance. Track is a very narrow track. There's no room for runoff, so you've got to be very committed. So that was the first shock when we obviously got there to see how tight the track was. It is Polokwane's karting track, so there's no other venue except the oval. But I mean, I do like the diversity in tracks this year, which is quite a nice thing to have. Had a bit of issues in practice. We had a clutch slave pin length which was incorrect, so it was battling to get into gear. Thanks to my dad, he assisted changing the pin, taking it in and out, getting it sorted. We didn't lose too much time in it, but it's one of those things you don't really want to have when you get there, because the previous event we had a little bit of a whine in the gearbox, so we decided, let's change it out. And obviously some measurements from the past to now has changed slightly, so it's one of those things, but at least it's sorted. Again, thanks to Speedy Webb, he also assisted with small little adjustments, which again got it just to get to that perfect setting. So we went into practice, everything went fine, went off a few times. It's a very tight track. But other than that, I think the last few runs of the day, we got it pretty dialed in. I felt very confident going into Saturday. So. Qualifying 1, I felt like it was okay. It probably wasn't the better of the runs, but it was a solid first run. So obviously in qualifying you only get 2 runs, so you kind of got to make the best of the situation that you have. We set down, I'm not too sure what the first score was, but we set down a decent score. The second run was much better. I was on the line, on the angle, on the clipping points. Had a slight bobble at the end of the run though, which is what annoyed me probably the most out of all of it. But in any case, we qualified 9th with a score of 68.5. Not probably one of my better qualifying runs, but I think the track didn't really suit me too well. I think it's probably one of those bobble tracks of the year for me. So in any case, it was still, I was happy to qualify.
Zain Hussein stalled on the switch. Anyway, next up we've got Chris Long all the way from Cape Town. Chris finished 3rd at SDO1. He's running a 200 SX as well. He's sponsored by GA Motorsport and Mike's Place. Beautiful lines. But what's his... Oh! He's not walking the SSA. That much off, is that right?
So some big scratch behind there. And pride.
In the top 16, we were paired up with a BMW of Brendan Purin, very down-to-earth guy. He would lead first. He qualified 8th. I qualified 9th. So he would lead first. He pulled away. Everything went fine. I was pretty much on him. Switched with him where we needed to switch. I left a little bit of a gap because I wasn't too sure with tandems. It's obviously a very tight track. And yeah, then ended the run, everything was fine, switched positions again. I led, I set down, I think a pretty decent lead run. I don't think I could do anything better. Went back to the judges' decision and they called it one more time.
Right, so Brendan leads, Chris follows, both initiating in zone 2. Brendan running a high line, which is forcing Chris to be a little bit more shallow, but Chris is in the door, in the switch. Outside, the rear clipping zone, Chris getting that proximity in. Falling a little bit short on the switch towards the last clipping zone, but across the line with both. Nice switch in zone 2. Nice high line there for Chris Long in the rear clipping zone. Brendan needs to put foot to catch up their closer proximity. This is where that switches I was telling you about in the chicane. Chris taking a high line which forces Brendan to take a shallow line. And with that shallow line, Brendan loses a lot of pace, a lot of...
After running the run again, I followed him and I was all over him. Initiated, I was next to him on his door, switch back again, pretty much all over him. Very close to hit him as well on the switch. I only realized in the video afterwards. As we went through into the last corner, he ran, I think, a bit too hot in because I think you could obviously tell I was next to him, and he ran, of course. Then in the lead position, I put down pretty much the best lead run that I could. And that pretty much gave us the win. So it felt good, very confident going into the top 8.
Brendan leads, Chris follows. Nice initiation between zone 2 and 1. Brendan runs a high line. Chris is right up in
getting
the door
very,
there.
very close
This
there.
is what the judges are looking for. That switch, they barely missed each other. Beautiful, beautiful lines here between Brendan and Chris. Chris keeping that proximity, very important as they come to the final look. Unfortunately, Brendan runs a high line off the track. Chris, let's see if Brendan can bring it back as Chris hits lead. Brendan does the chasing. Both again initiating just before zone 2. Chris taking a high line. Brendan needs to close that gap, get that proximity in for the switch. Big gap in the switch. Brendan needs to put the pedal down, get in there. He runs a bit of a shallow line as Chris goes a bit wider. Chris out-angling Brendan onto that front before keeping it in the line, beautifully across the line.
In the top 8, we would then meet up with Zanil Satar. So the second time we're meeting up with Zanil. The first time was obviously at round 1, and in the top 8 position as well. So going into the top 8 run, he had to lead first. So because he was the highest qualifier, he was the top qualifier of the day. I followed him. I got as close as what I think I could have got. He's obviously very fast on speed. He ran a bit of a shallow line in the first corner, but nevertheless we still trying to maintain. I brought it back next to him at the end of the run, and then it was my turn to lead. So I led in the second position in the second run, and as I pulled away, I went first, second, third. I missed third gear, so I had to rebank it again, put it back into third. Went and I initiated. Obviously my momentum was a lot less, but I still had enough speed to initiated, but I don't really know. I think I drove through the corner, and with me doing that, I maybe wasn't throwing enough angle, or I was building up too much speed in the corner where I wasn't supposed to, and it kind of threw me off track. Obviously it's one of those mistakes, it's not something I like making, but it does happen from time to time. I keep learning from them each and every time, but yeah, I think it's just one of those things which I was trying to go as hard as I could, and it didn't work out for me this time, but it's one of those things, we ended off in the top.
Takes it up high, initiates between 2 and 1. Chris taking a shallow line. Interesting line taken there by Zanil. Chris battling to see where Zanil is in all that smoke, but he's still trying to keep that proximity. Zanil taking a high line, forcing Chris to go a little bit shallow, but Chris is still there, he's still in the game. A high line on the front clipping point there by Zanil. Great run there by Christopher. So, right, so here we have run number 2. Christopher leads. Neil chases, Neil initiates a little bit on top of Chris. So
I'm very grateful to everyone who has assisted us to get there. I mean, 3,500 Ks basically driving. It's no easy task, but we did it. We came back with good points on the board. We 6th in the championship, not too far away from second. Jason Webb's just in another level at the moment. But yeah, we got fantastic sponsors.